on paper, they all agree that we should have free speech and that my sentence was harsh and all of these things. But where were they today?
The lunatics are running the asylum, and unless we change that, it's going to get worse.
Breaking today, Lucy Connolly has stormed Westminster, and she is telling those people in power a thing or two about how the country really feel. Now, this is a fabulous story, isn't it? Imagine going from social media jailbird to fixture at the centre of power. And it's all thanks to Rupert Lowe of Restore Britain, who arranged for our superstar panellist to be a special guest at a Westminster Hall debate that he was hosting around the disgusting imprisonment of Lucy as a result of her sole tweet, soon deleted, on the night of the Southport massacre, where she expressed absolute horror and fury about what's going on. Horror and fury about the fact that we have these dangerous criminal men living in hotels at our expense. And yes, she may have phrased some of her words in quite a fiery manner, but I think a lot of it was what the country felt. And remember, for Lucy, it was such a personal, emotional issue because of the fact that she knew the pain of losing a young child, given her infant son or young son was killed as a result of NHS neglect. So we're going to show you the highlights and the lowlights from this debate, as well as Lucy Connolly's first go, and she did very, very well, as a citizen journalist interviewing exclusively for us here at Outspoken, Rupert Lowe. Watch.
I think a lot of people in this country right now are fearful of what they post online. They might have, backed off a little and are genuinely worried about what is acceptable, what could be, construed as hate speech, etc. Do you think that, that the debate acknowledged that?
No, I don't think it acknowledged that. I think what we need to encourage people to do legally and in a peaceful way is to stand up to all of this petty bureaucracy. Now, don't let the state bully you in any way. And I think people should challenge local government. They should challenge national government. They ultimately are the electorate, so they are the bosses. And the people in Parliament are ultimately supposed to be serving the people.
I think they do forget that.
I think
often.
they lose sight of that.
Lucy also asked Rupert Lowe whether he believed two-tier Britain was a real thing.
And do you think we're in danger of creating a two-tier free speech system in this country?
I think we've got one. I think we've got one, and I think we've got a two-tier policing system. I think if you look, and I think, look at the Brexit vote. So the Brexit vote, we were given a referendum. The majority of English people voted to leave the European Union, which I thought was a surprise at the time, but that's what they voted for. And the government singularly failed to deliver that because they didn't agree with it. So we live in a society now where nanny knows best, and as long as you agree with nanny, then you're free and you can say what you want. If you don't agree with nanny, which is the essence of a free society, you have to be able to challenge nanny without threat from the state. And this is where I think it's all going wrong.
Yeah.
I quoted George Orwell in my speech because George Orwell, an old Etonian, he was a wonderful polemicist, and at the end of the day, he's been incredibly prescient about what he said. There's some other great Orwell quotes. But, he almost predicted what's happening now, and it is happening. It's the thought police, it's the centrally planned a state which is a threat to individualism. And I think you embodied that. What happened to you embodied that. And I don't think, again, I'm interested to learn from you. I personally mentioned the legal aid issue because I think you were probably badly legally advised.
And we're going to get back to that interview, but just to illustrate what went on, I'm going to show you Rupert at the debate and then some of the hard leftist MPs who Rupert and Lucy were so disgusted by. Watch. Substack is a free speech platform that protects me from big tech cancellation and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers get an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me direct on there. That's www.outspoken.live.
The poison of two-tier justice must be forensically extracted from our judicial system. This debate is not about whether we are prepared to live in a country where liberty exists only for those who never cause offence, an impossible and undesirable standard. To Lucy and to every other person who has found themselves dragged through the system for a post online, you deserve better from your government, and I sincerely hope today marks the beginning of a serious rethink in this House. Thank you.
Well, unfortunately not, because Labour MP for the Isle of Wight West, Richard Quigley, actually had the cheek to compare Lucy to that illegal immigrant now locked up for his threats against Nigel Farage, Madapassa. Watch.
It seems that for the right wing, free speech is not a two-way street. It's Schrodinger's version of free speech. No more has this hypocrisy and not time been clearer than the case of the member for Clapton, who rightly disavowed and welcomed the imprisonment of an individual who used social media to threaten his life, but readily platformed a woman during his party conference who said, and I quote, "Mass deportation now, set fire to all the fucking hotels full of the bastards for all I care. If that makes me a racist, so be it." I'm genuinely intrigued as to whether free speech is only deemed acceptable if it is used to threaten the lives of refugees, but not the Reform Party leader.
There was also this from Dr. Scott Arthur, the Labour MP for Edinburgh South West.
I understand why people are arguing that racially motivated hatred should not be a law online when it is in the real world. Why should we be able to say something online that we wouldn't say in the pub? It's utterly unbelievable that people are putting forward this argument. It's unacceptable.
And Lucy was furious about the MPs who didn't show up.
Well, I think it was slightly sort of as expected. I thought the number of MPs who turned up was very disappointing, particularly an absence from all 5 Reform MPs. It was good to see James McMurdoch there, who came briefly but had to go. He's got a young family. It was interesting that they refused his intervention, which is highly irregular, really.
Yeah, because you give way to everybody.
I gave way to a question. So I think, for me, and again, be interested to know what you thought, and I would like to hear that. But I think it shows how out of touch the Lib Dems, Labour, and the Greens and people like that are with this issue. And I personally think you've been extremely badly treated, and I think most of the British public think you've been very badly treated. And what I think it will show the British public is just how out of touch a great number of people in this House are. So I don't know what you think.
I 100% agree. Again, I'm disappointed that there wasn't more MPs from other parties. I think Reform, for example. I think they're very out of touch. Nearly all of the people in there today, obviously not you. But
I thought more Tories could have come too.
Absolutely, they could have done. That it's all. Well, they on paper they all agree that we should have free speech and that my sentence was harsh and all of these things. But where were they today? It's all just
I thought they also didn't bring out the fact that when you've had something so vile as happened at Southport, that people's emotions run high. That they thought it was some sort of coordinated protest. It wasn't. It was an outpouring of complete revulsion from the British people, and I think they felt.
There was a police investigation that said that. The police investigation that was conducted said this would have happened, regardless of what was on, was posted on social media. Tensions were running high. This was bound to happen.
Well, of course, because we've now got people who don't share our culture, who don't share our values, who often don't respect what we are, being planted across the country in migrant hotels, which ultimately are undermining the security and safety of the local communities. I mean, we know that. And we know a lot of these people are going to end up costing the British taxpayer a lot of money.
They were both specifically upset by the lack of support from Reform UK, especially given Lucy had appeared as a star guest at their conference.
I think it's disappointing, particularly given the fact that you went to their party conference and you've been quite overtly supportive of what they're doing, that at least one or two of them didn't come and speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a problem across the Parliament and all parties, isn't it? Instead of just going, actually, I might not personally like that person, we might have our differences, but that's actually a really good motion, that's a really good idea, that's something that I will support, and taking, personal feelings aside, and I think that needs to happen more across the board.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, personal feelings should not play a part. It's the moral principle that counts, and if you agree with what somebody's trying to do, you should support them.
Yeah, and do you feel that they listened, or do you feel like it was just a box ticking exercise for them?
Again, I don't know what you thought, but it didn't look to me like they listened. I don't think most of them, in fact I know most of them don't use social media very much.
Now, within the debate, Rupert used the issue of rape gangs to respond to one of the hard left MPs. Watch.
Can you cite what analysis he bases that comment on about people being more likely to be in prison for a social media tweet than rape?
I'm sure the honourable gentleman has heard of the Pakistani rape gangs, which are currently the subject of my crowdfunder. And when you read the report that is coming out in March, I'm sure you'll agree with me.
And in his interview with our Lucy Connolly, they discussed that moment. Watch. But first, a reality check. Data leaks aren't a once-in-a-while story anymore. They're constant and they're massive. When a mega breach hits, millions of people's details spill at once. Phone numbers, home addresses, even sensitive stuff. Worse, that data doesn't fade away. Data brokers and people search sites buy and resell it endlessly. So scammers, stalkers, even curious employers of your future can pull up your life within a quick search. That's why I use Incogni. In a murky industry, Incogni is the proof-driven service independently verified by Deloitte to request removals from hundreds of broker sites and private databases, follow up repeatedly, and log the confirmations as they come in. Here's how simple it is. Create your account and share only what's needed to find your exposed profiles. Authorize Incogni once, just once, to act on your behalf. They start the takedowns and keep chasing so your data doesn't creep back online ever. And the power feature custom removals on the unlimited plan. If you spot your info anywhere, so court portals, company directories, people search pages, drop that exact link into your dashboard. Incogni's privacy team then takes it on beyond the automated list. Unlimited links handled by specialists. It's low effort, it's effective, and it gives you real peace of mind. They can't target you if they can't find you. So don't wait for the next breach. Head to incogni.com/outspoken right now and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/outspoken. Protect yourself, your family, and your future. But now, back to the show.
You probably heard the chap who asked me about the when I made a comment about people being locked up for social media posts more readily than rapists, and I had to point out to him that I'm afraid the rape gang issue is a massive scandal. It's a complete systemic failure of our entire sort of governing councils. So it's the councils, it's the police, it's local government, it's social services, it's almost every aspect of modern Britain has let down these white working class underage girls who've been systemically raped by Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, and we've identified it's been happening in 137 areas, which means it's been happening in a lot more towns and cities. So, as I said in the debate, that's our report will be out, so that the barrister's sitting in early February, and he should have his report out by the end of March, early April, depending on how long it takes him to complete it. And it will be very hard hitting, because the government's supposed to be having a statutory inquiry, but 5 months on, not much has happened.
Of course, the reason that this debate was allowed to take place was because of a mega petition which showed the British public were very much on the side of Lucy Connolly.
The online petition got 191,000 signatures, but that's very high for that kind of category. Were you surprised at the amount of signatures that it got and the traction that it got?
No, I think it's one of the higher petitions that have taken place. I mean, with our social media following, we're now able, Lucy, to fill these quite quickly. So although your debate was the first of its kind where an MP has sponsored it, as you probably saw, I got no special treatment as the MP who sponsored it. I was treated like all the other punters, and the chairman actually selected me to speak after another MP. So that's fine. That's how they want to play it. That's okay. But we've now worked out that we can do this. So our followers, if we bring a petition for a debate, we can fill it usually within about 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
So whether they'll change the rules now, I mean, it's 100,000 and they're supposed to have the debate. What I can tell you is for me to get a debate is quite difficult. I've had one in Westminster Hall, but as an independent MP, it's quite hard to be able to get a debate.
And I mean, it's unfortunate that most of the people who turned up were idiots like this.
Speech. Words have consequences, and no matter if I passionately disagree with you politically, if someone uses social media to call for the death or harm of another, they should be held accountable by any means that law deems fit. Regrettably, I do not believe that the same clarity exists on the benches opposite.
What I think is so exciting about the independent media revolution is that we do have someone like Lucy Connolly, who I believe is a voice of the people asking the questions now. Lucy, by the way, is joining Outspoken as a regular superstar panellist. Watch the final part of her interview with Rupert Lowe.
Are you planning to push for further sentencing reviews or even a change in legislation?
Well, I think from my point of view, Lucy, I'll keep looking at this, and if we see cases that we think are wrong, we will highlight them using our social media platform. But our job is slightly bigger than that. I think what we've got to do is try and change the way we're governed. I say to my constituents in Great Yarmouth, who are fantastic people who've been very badly served by the post-war elite, I say to them, I can't solve your problems kissing babies in Great Yarmouth, which again, and I do quite a lot to try and help my constituents, and they're great people. I said, we have to change the head of the beast. We have to get control of the whole mechanism of decision-making, of the respect for the electorate, of the respect for democracy, of the respect for the nation-state. We have to basically protect the individual, and we have to attack central planners. And unless we do that collectively, we've got no chance of winning, because they've currently got control of the asylum. So the lunatics are running the asylum, and unless we change that, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we can see that people care massively about free speech in this country at the moment. It's an issue close to a lot of people. What would you say to them about this debate?
Well, as I said earlier, you know, you can't rely on a few people. Everybody's got to fight this, and fight it in a fair, law-abiding way, but in a firm way. So it's going to require everybody to stand up to every piece of petty bureaucracy which we all face every day now. And we need to get a group of people in power who are going to enact whatever you want to call it, the Great Repeal Act, the Great Clarification Act, as we refer to on mass deportations, whatever you want to call it. We need to get rid of the licensing, the regulation, you know, the enrichment of lawyers. We need to get rid of the over-policing and the two-tier policing, which we've clearly seen. Yeah. The difference between the law-abiding supporters who are genuinely concerned about the direction the country's taking and the Palestinian marchers who march singing from the river to the sea. Most of them, when asked, don't know which river and which sea. So the whole thing is a farce, but they don't intervene in the same way. Now, whether that's because we've got a Muslim mayor of London, whatever reason, we've definitely got two-tier policing, and as you probably know, the mayor of London is in charge of the Metropolitan Police. Yeah. So we've gone badly wrong, and I think we've gone wrong because, and I say this to all my friends, we've had life too good since the war. I think all of Europe lost its confidence after 2 world wars, and as a result of that, we've neglected our sort of the way in which we've been governed. We've all had a great time. We've had global respect, which arguably a lot of the people who are now in power don't deserve. And I feel, I don't know what you feel, but I think the West's power is actually on the wane, and we're seeing other people and other sort of cultures with a different view of individualism who are coming to the fore. So I think we have to now stand up for what we believe in. We have to look at, obviously, America. A lot of the American Constitution is based on our own, it came from our own Bill of Rights. So they fought the American War of Independence, and they respect individualism. They're probably the one country where it's embedded in their constitution. Our constitution is unwritten. So we have to fight for what we believe in. We can't just indulge ourselves in a life of sort of what I call bacchanalian fun. What we've got to do is we've got to start fighting back.
Yeah.
And I say that to everybody. If you don't fight back, you're going to lose. You're going to lose your country. Yeah. You're going to lose your freedom, and you're going to lose everything that you care about.
Okay. And if you had to sum up the debate in like one sentence, what would you say? Predictable,
disappointing, but not unexpected.
Okay. Great. Thanks very much, Rupert. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. Well done, Lucy Connolly, becoming a bit of a superstar in the independent media space. And as I say, she will be joining our superstar panel as a regular guest starting this Monday on Outspoken. Okay, we're going to reveal today's greatest Britain Union jackass in just one moment. First, though, to your comments. And Alex Marmon says, there are questions that are difficult to answer. For Starmer, that is any question given to him, as he never answers any of them in PMQs every week. User Moo says Starmer was always destined to step aside for Mahmood. Where is the surprise? And Bipedal Speckies says, does James O'Brien live in a bubble? Or is he actually just twisted and loving every second of it? I think a combination of the two, if I'm totally honest, by Paul. Okay, a reminder of your Union Jackass nominees. Rachel Willwood, nominated by Bob Dishy for Refugees Are Welcome, but not in the barracks in her own constituency. NIMBY, she's of course the Green Party Deputy Leader. John Swinney, nominated by Protect Right 99 for his continuing fight against women's rights in support of a few autistic or pervert men in bad wigs. And Chris Packham, nominated by Snowed 659 for smugly groaning on about the wonders of the BBC. Could it be that they pay his wages? I think that is a very good thought. This was an extraordinarily close vote. Today, the lead has changed multiple times, but the results are now in, and they're locked in. In third position, he was leading earlier when I first looked, John Swinney. The runner-up with 34% of the vote, Rachel Millward. But today's Union Jackass with 35%. The worst Briton in the world today is Chris Packham for his constant defence of the BBC. And this is going to be fun because, you know, it is a Thursday, which means tomorrow on the show, we reveal the worst Briton in the world this week. And it's when we put our Union Jackasses from across the week head to head, which means that Chris Packham will be going up against Narinder Kaur from Monday, Ed Davey from Tuesday, Shabana Mahmood from Wednesday. I'm going to be popping that up in the post section of YouTube immediately after the live show today. So do get voting. And today's greatest Briton, oh, I couldn't agree with this more, nominated by Becca Thornquist. It's Lady Colin Campbell, because she is finally home with her fur baby. She never let any of us down, even through pain and agony. She kept us all entertained every day. Through her suffering, she made her subscribers joyful. You know how much I adore Lady Colin Campbell. She is a regular here on Outspoken. Quite recently, she had this broken pelvis and was still broadcasting from her hospital bed, but it is a huge relief to me that she's back at Castle Goring being looked after. I adore that woman, and I know it's going to be very difficult for her not walking for 6 whole months, but at least she is in the place that she loves. And, you know, Castle Goring, honestly, it just has the most incredible vibe. It's a really magical place, and especially being with her 2 delightful dogs as well. So thank you so much, and we will we will hopefully have Lady C from Castle Goring a week today.